friends. Welcome to another episode. In this weekend's gospel reading, Jesus asks his disciples who people thought he was and who they thought that he was. Not because he was having an identity crisis did he ask the question. There's a deeper meaning. See, Peter's confession is very important in the gospel reading. Peter says to Jesus, "You are the Messiah, the Christ, the Son of the living God." See, Matthew is using Peter's confession to tell his audience who Jesus really is. Remember last week, the Canaanite woman? She addressed Jesus as Lord, Son of David. In that gospel reading, Matthew was trying to tell his audience that Jesus was the Savior of the world and not just of the Jewish people. In this gospel reading, Matthew is taking his audience a little further. He wants to tell them who Jesus really is. He's giving them the real deal. And so Peter's confession becomes very significant. Now, after Peter's confession, something meaningful happens. That's very important for Peter, and it's very important for each one of us. See, Jesus does not ask Peter who Peter was. Jesus goes further. He tells Peter who Peter is. He says, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." You see what's going on? When Peter defines Jesus, when Peter tells Jesus who Jesus was, Peter finds himself in Jesus. And so does the church. But we won't go there today because in 5 minutes, I only want to deal with the personal element of this conversation that Jesus and Peter had. Folks, what's the meaning of this passage for us? See, the human person is pulled in so many different directions today. The other day I was in the doctor's office waiting for my appointment. And you know, the TV is always playing in the doctor's office. I generally tune it out because normally it's telling me what else might be wrong with me. And I was actually working on my homily. For real, I was actually working on a homily. And then suddenly a voice on the screen says, "Hey, you." I ignored the voice. And after some silence, the voice said again, "Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Look up. Not at your phone, not at your tablet, not at your computer. Look up." See, I'm a communication major, and I was totally amused by this exercise. Gadgets were competing with other gadgets for our attention. See, I think this is a great analogy for the multiple directions in which human beings are pulled. Between life and our work and our home and certainly the uncertainty of our lives, we are pulled in so many different directions. And as we are pulled in so many different directions, it's very important to know what is at the core of our being. Really, how do we understand ourselves? The latest news says that more Americans are consuming more alcohol. And they give you many, many reasons for it. And one of them is meaninglessness. That we confront meaninglessness and sometimes we find a way to drown this lack of meaning. Folks, an opioid crisis is wiping out an entire generation. Even professionally successful people can find themselves to be very discontented. And so that's what I'm asking each one of you. And I think this is where Jesus is leading us today to. What is at the core of our being? How do we understand ourselves? And what has Jesus to do with our self-understanding? If Peter had not defined Jesus or told him who Jesus was, would he know who he was? And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. If you really want to know who you are, if we really want to know what is at the core of our being, and if we really want to understand ourselves, folks, we have to first understand Jesus. It's Jesus who tells us who we are. This week, pray about it. Find yourself in Jesus. Have a good weekend. Bye.